You open a book with the purest intentions. Tonight is going to be different. You are going to read like a calm, intelligent person with a working attention span and maybe even a personality not entirely assembled by notifications. You sit down, find the page, read the first paragraph, and for about 90 seconds, everything looks promising. Then your eyelids begin negotiating. The sentence you just read somehow needs to be read again. The book gets heavier. Your brain, after surviving 16 hours of chaos, looks at printed language and says, "Perfect, a shutdown ceremony. The insult is personal because you wanted to read. Nobody forced you. You were not trapped in a literature exam or pretending to understand a 19th century novel at a dinner party. You chose the book. Maybe you were excited about it. Maybe you bought it during one of those optimistic moments when you believed your future self would become a more disciplined citizen. Yet the moment the page becomes quiet and steady, your body starts acting like reading is a medically approved sedative. The lazy explanation is that reading is boring. Sometimes, sure. Some books do approach the human nervous system like a tax document wearing a jacket, but the boring book explanation is too simple because people get sleepy reading things they actually enjoy. A thriller can be working hard for your attention. Someone can be getting chased through a forest. A detective can be one clue away from solving a murder, and your brain still starts dimming the lights, like the theater is closing. Reading makes your brain want to sleep for several reasons that pile on top of each other. The biggest one is embarrassingly basic. Reading often happens when you are already tired. At night, after work, after school, after screens, after conversations, after pretending to be fine in public, you finally sit down with a book. Then you blame the book for making you sleepy, even though your body had been quietly filing complaints for hours. The book did not create the exhaustion. It just stopped distracting you from it. Modern life is very good at hiding tiredness. A phone can keep feeding you novelty, even when your body is asking to clock out. Videos change fast. Feeds refresh. Messages arrive. Bright screens, movement, sound, and tiny social rewards keep the brain nudged awake. Reading removes most of that. The page does not flash. It does not vibrate. It does not reward you every 7 seconds with a new argument, face, joke, crisis, or person arranging their kitchen in a way that somehow earns 5 million views. A book simply waits. That calm can feel wonderful, but it also gives sleepiness room to walk in wearing socks. There is a physical side too. Reading usually lowers your activity level. You sit still. Your breathing may slow. Your eyes move in a narrow pattern across the page. Your hands barely do anything except turn pages and occasionally hold the book at an angle that suggests your wrists have unionized, compared with walking, talking, scrolling, cooking, commuting, or surviving a group chat. Reading is quiet and still. The body notices that stillness and may treat it as a cue that the day is ending. The brain also has to sustain attention in a very particular way when you read. A book does not do the attention work for you. It asks you to build the scene internally, track sentences, hold meaning in working memory, remember who is speaking, connect ideas, and keep your mind from wandering off to the deeply urgent question of whether you replied weirdly to someone in 2018. Reading may look passive from the outside, but inside the brain, it is active, organized work. That work becomes harder when you are tired. Sustained attention is fragile. After a long day, the mind does not always collapse dramatically. It drifts. You read a sentence and arrive at the end with no idea what it said. You go back, the same thing happens again. At that point, the book is still open. Your eyes are technically participating, and your comprehension has left the building. Sleepiness often begins right there, in the gap between looking at words and actually processing them. The page is especially good at revealing mental fatigue because it offers fewer rescue signals. A video can pull you back with a cut, a sound effect, a face, a sudden movement, or some man pointing a text as if the fate of civilization depends on the caption above his head. A book does not chase you. It requires your mind to return on its own. When that return takes effort, your brain may decide that sleep is a more reasonable use of the evening. Another piece of the puzzle is routine. Many people read in bed on a couch, under soft light, at the same time they are trying to wind down. Over time, the brain can learn associations between context and sleep. Bed means sleep. Dim light means sleep. Warm blanket means sleep. Quiet room means sleep. Add a book to that ritual often enough, and the book becomes part of the signal. The brain is not reading the room metaphorically. It is reading it biologically. And the room is saying, "We are done here." That does not mean reading in bed is bad for everyone. For some people, it helps create a smoother transition into sleep. For others, especially people with insomnia, sleep specialists sometimes recommend keeping the bed strongly associated with sleep rather than wakeful activities. The important point is the association. The brain learns from repetition. If you usually read only when you are exhausted, horizontal, and wrapped like a burrito with academic ambitions, your brain may start treating the first page as a bedtime announcement. Printed books and screens can affect this differently. A physical book under warm light tends to be relatively low stimulation. A bright tablet or phone can keep the brain more alert, partly because of light exposure and partly because digital devices come with temptation built in. Even when you are technically reading, the device also contains messages, tabs, apps, and the entire circus. The book on your nightstand is not secretly trying to sell you wireless earbuds while you process Chapter 3. Your phone absolutely might. Research on light-emitting e-readers has found that evening use can delay some biological signals of sleep compared with printed books, including melatonin changes during the reading period. The bigger everyday lesson is not that every screen is evil and every paper book is holy. That story is too neat. The more useful point is that devices can keep the environment more stimulating, while a quiet book often removes stimulation. For sleepy people, removing stimulation is sometimes all it takes. There is also an emotional contrast. Scrolling often keeps the brain mildly agitated. Not always stressed, exactly, but alert. You are reacting, comparing, judging, laughing, worrying, remembering, wanting, disliking, checking, skipping. Reading asks for a slower emotional tempo. Even an intense book unfolds at the speed of your attention. That slowdown can feel like relief. It can also reveal how tired your nervous system was underneath the noise. People sometimes misread that sleepiness as failure. They think, "I can't read anymore," or "my attention span is ruined," or "I bought another book just to own a rectangle of guilt." There may be some truth in the attention span complaint, especially if most of your day is built around fast digital switching. But feeling sleepy while reading does not automatically mean you are stupid, lazy, or secretly allergic to literacy. It may mean your brain is being asked to do steady work at the exact moment your body is asking for recovery. The timing matters a lot. Reading first thing in the morning feels different from reading at midnight. Reading at a desk feels different from reading under a blanket. Reading after exercise feels different from reading after a heavy meal. The same book can feel alive at noon and become a sedative brick at 11:45 p.m. The book did not change personalities. Your state changed. There is a reason heavy eyelids appear so quickly during certain reading sessions. When the body is already near sleep, quiet focus can push it over the edge. Eye movements become slower. Posture relaxes. The room gets still. The brain stops receiving strong signals that it needs to stay responsive to the outside world. A page creates a narrow tunnel of attention, and if the energy to stay in that tunnel is low, sleep starts looking like the exit ramp. Reading also reduces the kind of social alertness that keeps people awake. During the day, other humans constantly tug on your nervous system. Messages, tasks, voices, responsibilities, deadlines, small performances of competence. A book usually removes the audience. Nobody needs an answer. Nobody is typing. Nobody is asking you to react immediately. That absence of demand can be peaceful enough for the body to finally admit defeat. A strange irony appears here. Many people use reading to become more awake intellectually, but the conditions that make reading pleasant often overlap with the conditions that invite sleep. Quiet, stillness, comfort, low light, repetition, reduced stimulation. The brain does not always separate deep literary focus from "please begin powering down." It sees the same soft signals and makes a practical guess. Sometimes that guess is rude. The type of book can matter, but not always in the way people think. Difficult reading can make you sleepy because the cognitive load is high. Dense nonfiction, unfamiliar vocabulary, complex arguments, or long sentences can exhaust working memory. Light reading can make you sleepy because it is soothing and low threat. Familiar fiction can make you sleepy because the rhythm is comforting. In other words, the brain has many roads to the same nap, which feels unfair but is at least consistent. The environment can turn the effect up or down. A warm room, soft chair, low light, full stomach, and late hour makes sleepiness more likely. Bright light, upright posture, a cooler room, and reading earlier in the day can help you stay alert. This is why the same person who falls asleep after 2 pages in bed can read for an hour in a coffee shop. Apparently, the brain respects caffeine, chairs, and the mild pressure of strangers witnessing your public identity. As someone who reads, there is also the problem of expectation. If you often fall asleep while reading, your brain begins to expect that pattern. You open the book, and part of you already knows how this movie ends. That expectation can become self-reinforcing. The body settles faster. The attention relaxes sooner. The book becomes a switch. Not because the pages contain sleep dust, although, honestly, that would explain publishing economics. The routine has trained the response. None of this means you should fight sleep like it is a moral enemy. Sometimes the best interpretation is the simplest. You are tired. The book gave you a dignified way to notice. There are worse ways to end a day than drifting off after a few pages. The problem only appears when you want to read and sleepiness keeps stealing the habit from you. A few practical changes can help without turning reading into a productivity cult. Read earlier, before the body is already shutting down. Sit upright instead of turning your bed into a literary trap. Use enough light so your eyes are not working overtime. Choose a book that fits your energy level. Put the phone away so your brain is not forced to choose between one quiet page and a glowing machine filled with emotional snacks. 10 focused pages while alert are better than 30 heroic minutes of rereading the same paragraph like it owes you money. There is a bigger lesson under the habit. Sleepiness during reading shows how much attention depends on context. The brain is not a machine that performs the same way whenever you command it. It responds to light, posture, fatigue, routine, stress, stimulation, and reward. Reading sits at the crossroads of all those forces. It is mental work wrapped in physical quiet, which is exactly why it can feel both nourishing and dangerous to your eyelids. So when reading makes your brain want to sleep, the book may not be the villain. It may be the first calm object you have touched all day. It may be the first activity that did not keep poking your attention to stay awake. It may be the moment your body finally gets enough silence to reveal the obvious. You were running on borrowed energy, and the bill arrived in Chapter 1. The next time your eyes start closing over a book you genuinely wanted to read, notice the whole scene. The hour, the lighting, the chair, the bed, the phone nearby, the day you just had, the kind of attention the book is asking for. Your brain is not betraying you for fun. It is taking the conditions seriously. A quiet page, a tired body, and a learned bedtime routine can easily become a sleep signal. Reading does not always make you sleepy because it is boring. More often, it gives your brain fewer reasons to pretend it is awake. That is the uncomfortable little truth. The book did not knock you out. It simply stopped the noise long enough for your body to raise its hand and say, "Since we are finally being honest, I have been exhausted for